moon and they look at Earth, just like a profound experience. And when I imagine it, like it almost like cracks my head a little bit. Do you ever imagine what it would be like to look like when you see those pictures where someone's sitting there and looking at the Earth? What does that feel like to you? Like in terms of how you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, I hope one day, well, my stretch goal is to die in orbit of Jupiter, but that's a conversation for a different day. So
We can make that happen.
I hope so. Yeah, please go to my GoFundMe. I only need a few $100 billion trillion. So yeah, I have thought of that. One of the things I often think about flipping it round is the moon is probably the largest thing most people will ever see that has any detail. I mean, you can stare at the sun. Please don't stare at the sun for those listening. But other than the sun, which is incomprehensibly large, the moon is 1/3 the diameter of the Earth, right? So when you look at the man in the moon, right, or that little black splotch that looks, or the gray splotch that looks like one of the eyes, that is probably about the size of America. That little dot. Maybe bigger, who knows, right? And so the first thing to think of, if you were on the moon looking back on the Earth, it would only be 3 times wider than the moon. So if you stand there one day and you look,
Okay.
Okay, that's the moon. And then you can go and guess, that's how big Earth would look.
That's not that impressive then.
Well, it's not like the pictures where it's like half of the screen or something, right? Or it's the whole horizon. I still struggle to believe, at least for me, and I'm sure many others, that it wouldn't be insanely profound to look back on your own planet while standing on its moon, knowing the sheer distance that's been between you and that there is this ocean of black, that you sailed across to get there. I don't know, it's just hard. It's hard to imagine. Much as I think how people must have felt crossing the Atlantic to come to America, right? Or people that discovered new lands. They couldn't even believe that could be there, right? Suddenly your whole worldview turns upside down, especially in this, because you're not even on a world anymore. Right? You suddenly, you really are accepting that there are many. Yours is but one of such a tiny number two, like when you start to open that box, there are about 100 billion suns in our galaxy and about 100 billion galaxies. And the better our telescopes get, I think the last guess I heard was they think there's about one Earth-like planet around every sun. Well, I think actually the statistic I heard was there's about 100 billion Earth-like planets, which means there's about one per sun. We have an average sun with an average solar system, an average number of planets. Right? That's what that tells us.
Yeah.
And it's just mind-boggling to think that there would be 100 billion other Earth-like planets, Earth-type planets. I don't know if they're like Earth, but they're sort of about our size, about our temperature. What does that mean? God. And when you stand on that moon looking back on, our Earth, what do you think about? Do you think about how you can't see any of the countries? It looks nothing like a map. Do you just stare at it and look at the beauty of this vividly blue dot from all the my scattering? Sometimes I look up at Mars in the sky and it is a little bit red. You can kind of tell. And if you get a telescope, you can see it. And even that just blows my mind, that I can see enough of a planet that I can tell what color it is. Because Jupiter's just a white dot. All the other planets just like white dots to me, at least. Maybe some of your viewers have better eyes, but to be able to stand there and back, I don't know, that just blows my mind. I find that hard to almost imagine, really. Like what it must feel like existentially.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, sometimes I wonder if we sound like Joe Rogan there and we gave him some psilocybin, like what the heck would he say? So you're compounding the thing. Like, give them like a podcast studio, get them on the moon, looking at Earth, and then just like juice them with some psilocybin and just let them fly.
Just let it
I want,
fly.
yeah, I wonder what gravity does. Because gravity affects like the fluid and whatnot, like how you
I would
metabolize
watch
things. So
that. I would
you do
watch
that?
for science.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Hey, send
yeah,
me.
for science.
I'll go. Like Leon, we need you to take a ton of drugs in low gravity and stare back. And we need you to have two massively existential experiences piled on top of each other. One, you're going to trip a shit ton of balls, and the other one, we're going to break most of the everyday expectations you have of literally the entire world around you by putting you on another one. And you're like, wow, who knows, right? I mean, and somebody somewhere is going to be the first person to trip balls on the moon.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be
Yeah,
a military experiment, in fact.
it's gonna be Joe Rogan. He's gonna volunteer for it. Well, I think if they, what I would want them to do is they have they like put something over your eyes and they time it so that like they have like all your body, that like they have you plugged up, and then so they know when you're about to hit, and then they turn you over and then they rip it off, and then you the first time you see the Earth is when you're like
just as you're
like
coming
peak,
off or something.
yeah, right at peak. I don't do drugs, so I don't know how this works, but I feel like there's gotta be a peak. They get you on that Everest and they just like record everything,
Right,
and I feel like it's gotta be like that cartoon, like your eyes get smaller and bigger at the same time or something. I don't know. Someone who's done these things can write in about this, but the related to that, you said you wanted to die on Saturn, I think. Or was it Saturn or Jupiter?
Yeah, in orbit. Well, I don't know. Do we think the rings are better? I'm not sure.
I mean, the rings. I don't think you'd see them if you were there. Either the
Yeah, maybe
moons.
not. I didn't even see
Yeah,
that.
yeah, because they're pretty spacious.
Maybe Europa then. I could die in Europa.
Yeah. Well, do you wanna live there then die, or do you want to like die in impact? There's a question I'm about to ask.
I mean,
What you say.
honestly, I would take either, but preferably, yeah, just I just figure when you're really old, body's a bit worn out, right? Your bone density's crap anyway. Man, 0G might be kind of a blessing.
Yeah.
You could have like 0G care homes.
Yeah.
I can't stand up, not a problem.
Yeah. That was in Contact. The old guy was worried about falling, so he went into space. Halden or Hayden? Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Well, I guess with that in mind, then we should definitely do the GoFundMe to get the ISS out there, and you could kind of retire to it. I was thinking if you just were fine with like dying on impact, I was wondering how much, like you're only a couple 100 pounds. If we just like put everything out and gave you just enough food to like last the just full blast with a Saturn 9 or something. Yeah, could we get you with a Falcon 9 to Saturn? Is there like enough capacity like Delta V to get you there if it's just you and like a couple 100 pounds of food stock? And then like they made it really cold. I don't know, maybe they put you in like an induced coma so it could be really like slow your metabolism as well. I wonder, I'm just saying there might be an option to make it happen. Maybe do this.
My memory of several NASA white papers, which are probably a bit old by now, but I think that Starship could get you into a generic, like you'd probably have to do some gravity assists, and then the question becomes, what's your transfer time, and can you reasonably take enough food with you that would just even keep me alive on my own? And then, of course, the question becomes, do I just go batshit insane, right? What happens when you lock someone in 0G, right? Because I won't lie, gravity's actually quite. If you're thinking of actually traveling in space, you have to have gravity. There's two twins they put up into space, and one of them stayed up there a year. Man, he still has some issues, right? Like their bone density gets rid. There's a reason you see astronauts sat down, right? They pick them up on chairs and they carry them off like they're heroes, or it's some kind of bar mitzvah or something, right? It's because those astronauts can't stand and won't be able to stand quite possibly for days or weeks, right? They are very weak. They have incredible vertigo. Space does, the human body is designed to constantly be stressed, right, by gravity, right, to always be loaded, and your body is always looking for ways to recycle the bits of you that are no longer being used. So if you stop using muscles or bone density, it just dissolves it out and puts it somewhere else. And so there are studies that the bone density loss on astronauts can be astronomical. Some of them will come back very fit, 40-year-old men will come back with a bone density of geriatric 90-year-old women, and so what that journey would even do is hard to say. If you read, there's a NASA white paper on doing a Mars mission. It's about a 500-day transfer window. The white paper says they don't think if they did that, if they sent those astronauts, they said the shortest amount of time you can send them for it, so the shortest window of mission is 2 weeks, because we think it'll be that long, basically, before they're functional again and they can pick up enough rocks and come home. Right, just grab whatever soil samples are around you, get back on the rocket. They won't be able to get out of the spacesuits. They won't get out of the spaceship. You'll have to have the spaceship load them into you'll have to send the base, have it be self-assembling, and then they'll land, and you'll have to have something basically throw them into the base. And then they're going to spend about 3 days